Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde and you are on to Inside Sources. But first, here is my take for today entitled Dictatorship in the Nigerian Senate. After the upper chamber of the National Assembly illegally suspended one of its own members for 6 months, the Red Chamber has now said, even after the expiration of the 6 months, the said senator cannot resume work. This is simply outrageous. And it is now no longer a matter between the Senate President and the Kogi senator. It is now about the Senate as a symbol of democracy. And what is now a certain desecration, the continued denial of the mandate of an elected senator by the Nigerian Senate, preventing the senator to do what she was elected for, is an aberration, and it is totally unknown to democracy anywhere. The people cannot elect a representative, and a group of senators decide to prevent such a person from performing a duly delivered mandate. It is wrong. And we have to say that on rooftops. We have had a lot of mumbo-jumbo that the Senate has a rule book that gives powers to the Senate to discipline its members. That rule book gets its powers from among the senators themselves. But there is a power of the electorate which is and must remain superior to the powers that the senators come up with themselves. Where is the power to subvert the will of the Kogi people? So the fact that the Senate assumed the power, as was written in their Senate regulations, to deny the people of Kogi a representation for 6 months is itself an affront on the concept of the government being of the people, by the people, for the people. It's an affront. Previous judicial rulings have affirmed this position in the past. And in this particular instance, Justice Binta Iyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja has already ruled, affirming that in any case, the duration of the suspension of the senator is excessive in this particular case. And she said that there is no clear legal foundation for the suspension. The judge also pointed out that since the National Assembly is only required by law to sit for 181 days in a year, suspending a lawmaker for roughly that same length of time effectively silences the voice of an entire constituency. And that is a move that the justice of the Federal High Court described as unconstitutional. And that is the truth. And so let us insist on this purely for the good of democracy, our democracy. Let us insist that the way that is known to the rule of law for the removal of an elected senator in Nigeria is to recall him or her. In this particular instance, a recall was attempted and it failed. So it should be a national outrage that democratically elected senators are the ones preventing another elected representative and preventing the idea of representative democracy by using an extra constitutional means to do their own bidding. That is so unfair. That is so wrong. Mr. Inibehe Effiong is correct when he asks, and I quote him, the resolution of the Senate was for her to serve 6 months suspension or apologize and have the suspension forgiven. She refused to apologize and served a 6 months suspension in full. Why do they now want to make the suspension illegally indefinite by using a case that was filed even before the suspension? That's a right question for the Senate by lawyer Effiong. So today, we aren't keen on whatever it is that may have happened or not happened between Senator Akpabio and Senator Natasha. The Red Chamber ought to be run like a true democratic institution. The Senate should represent and symbolize democracy. The subversion of democracy in the Red Chamber ought to stop. And there you have it. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today we are having a special edition where we want to dig deeper and dive into the work of the special committee that was set up on JAMB examination infractions that gave its report earlier this week. To join me in that very critical conversation, I have an eminent Nigerian, Mr. Jake Epele, here in the studio. Mr. Jake, welcome to Inside Sources for the first time.
Thank you to be part of Inside Sources, and there will be a lot of resources today.
I'm sure of that. Thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you have done, and we are coming to it. Let's also make welcome a member of the committee who I'm also told was actually the subcommittee chairman for the harmonization of the report, a former Bayero University Kano vice chancellor and a mathematician, Professor Muhammad Yahuza Bello. Prof, you are welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
All right. So let's start from Mr. Epele. Can you tell us, in a summary, just to get into it, what do you expect to happen after the revelations that came out from your report? What are the first things that, in your own estimation, ought to happen?
Okay, so you're going to post submission of the report. First is to say that most of the views I'm going to say here, and that of my panel member of the committee, are our views. They're not. We don't represent JAMB. We don't speak for JAMB. It was a very thorough, robust process. We expect that all the recommendations will be implemented, especially the very troubling discovery about the role of parents, which I can attribute figuratively to say that 80% of the infractions were traceable to parents who wanted to showcase the intellectual prowess and capacity of their children. And in so doing, they go to pay these examination fraudsters to sit in and write exams for their children. Other than that, there's also a big cartel responsible for this act. There is also the technology side of it, where you have the finger blending and the facial morphing, which we'll explain in the course of this program. I dare say, Laolu, that the education sector, specifically in terms of examination, admission management, I wonder what would have happened if we don't have the likes of Professor Oluyede. I wonder what would have happened.
Important point, and I share that view regarding the integrity of Professor Oluyede. It's something that I've also known for a long time. Now let's take it to Prof. Professor Bello, you were the subcommittee chairman for the harmonization of the report of the committee. Can you give us, the highlights of the report, the important highlights, just to take it from your side as an opener?
Okay, the highlights of the report are that some sophisticated syndicates try to undo what JAMB has done. JAMB has made a lot of progress in preventing exam leakage, exam malpractice, and so on through biometrics. So, I mean, some unscrupulous people try to circumvent this. One of the biometrics used by JAMB is that every candidate should provide 5 fingerprints of one hand. During the examination, any of the fingerprints that matches will, allow the candidate to take the examination. What some candidates did in conjunction with some CBT centers was to combine the fingerprints of 2 or 3 people. The candidate may provide 2 fingerprints. Those that are going to impersonate the candidate will provide 3 fingerprints. And to facilitate that again, the photo that the JAMB uses, again, they use AI to map the photos, that they will combine the photo of candidate A with impersonator B, and then use the computer to match the photo, that if any one of them comes, the photo will looks like him. These are some of the things that they did, and it was during the registration process. Also, JAMB is very careful about the quality of photographs that are taken. In order to circumvent this, people would that there's a challenge capturing their photos. So for them, the requirement for very sharp photos are relaxed in order to capture their photos. So what some people did was to claim albinism even when they are not albinos.
Let me try and dissect a bit what Prof was saying. Now, you know, the technology is such that if I have a Google Pixel, if I have a problem on this phone, right there in Silicon Valley, they can give me an IP address that allows them to mirror this phone. So I can stay here while they are working and trying to fix the problem of this phone. This is what these fraudsters have done. They take the IP address that is sent to this individual, assuming that this is the CBT center and they're taking an exam here. Somebody will be in another room that is done in collaboration with the owner of the CBT center. And they will mirror my system. Now, because there's a camera watching what is happening, you will brief to be using your mouse as if you're the one working. Yes. Meanwhile, they are the one answering all the questions and sending you. There are cases, we interrogated cases where a woman brought her daughter, 2 of them the same fingerprint, and she sat beside her daughter. The daughter was wasting time pretending as she was doing the exam while she was the one doing the exam.
The woman was also, the mother and the daughter, both of them were in the exam hall.
Yes.
And that must have been possible with the finger
finger blending. So there's a whole lot of malpractices that is going on, and I can tell you, Laolu, a lot of money are involved.
I can imagine.
What Prof was trying to explain was a situation where a child who is supposedly, we don't know, a son of a professor, scored 100, 100, 198. And went and manipulated the result and added 2 so that it will be 200. And the father was saying, my son scored 200. So JAMB went back end of their system and discovered that he added 2 in order to make 200.
It's interesting.
I mean, these are just minor issues we discovered. There were much more hideous ones. I mean, there was a young woman that they were interrogating. At the moment she knew that she would be caught red-handed, he said, oh, please, let me go and ease myself. She went out and was arranging how a private jet would take her out of the country. Immediately, she leaves the police station. So it's a whole rot that is happening that I personally will ask this president to declare a state of emergency in the Ministry of Education.
It's looking like that, Mr. Epele. Now, we do have, before we come back to Mr. Epele, we do have Mr. Chuks Okpala, who is a member of the committee, and also retired police commissioner Abdul Fatai Owosheni. So let's go first to Mr. Owosheni, who seems to be in his car. Let's get his take, and then we come to Mr. Chuks Opala, who will talk to us about the technological issues that that took place in these infractions. So Mr. Fatai Owosheni, welcome to Inside Sources. It's good to see your face again. You are not looking like a retired person at all.
Thank you very much, my brother. Good evening.
So you are a security expert, and the chairman here, Mr. Epele, has told me how much more work you guys did. In your own view, what are the major take away from where you stand as a security expert, the former commissioner of police? What are your own takeaways in this very critical report?
It is actually mind-boggling. Just like we've explained in other appearances, it's not as if this is the first time JAMB is discovering examination fraud. But for the 2025 series, what caused this attention is the magnitude and the dimension through which they use technology to perpetrate this fraud. I'm happy that Professor Yauza had broken down some of this. Why did I say it's mind-boggling? You have a situation where the CBT centers are mirroring their centers to what they call front rooms, where someone would sit down there, be writing exams, through the VPN. They mirror the CBT center into another room where the professional exam writers, the mercenaries, are writing these exams for the candidates. And of course, the candidate will sit down there and will be moving mouses. When we started this, I have been involved since late 2019. It was just, cases of impersonation that we could deploy intelligence detectives to centers where we picked these offenders. But this time around, using the artificial intelligence, people matching faces together, and of course, this mirroring of centers. And you see a situation where in a CBT center, someone that is registering a candidate has his finger in the registration of about 500 candidates. So it's the magnitude that made JAMB to say, okay, if we must make a progress, now that WAEC, NECO, all of them are doing CBT exams, let us escalate this and in the wisdom of the registrar, put up this team so that we can look at it holistically. It used to be between security and JAMB management, but this time around, they brought in experts in the IT world, a representative of NAS and representative of private school owners, together with some vice chancellors, in order for us to really get to the root of it. What are the causes and everything? And that is what make this 2025 series of JAMB to be something that JAMB has decided to take serious. Previously, all the people that we've been arresting, we've been prosecuting. Dr. Epele mentioned the case where students who, sought admission direct and never attended school were given A-level results that we read IJMB results. And when they are arrested, you see their lawyers writing to say, this guy is just 21 years old. He's someone that wrote the result for him. And it's a chain. You start a case in Katsina, you find out that the thing has taken you to Jigawa, to Lagos, to Abeokuta. And of course, all these things cost money. Investigation, prosecution are such that the JAMB has to spend a whole lot of money. And part of what this committee has done is that, let us also think of what are the preventive measures? And that is why the committee thinks that we should make this loud, sensitize parents, sensitize candidates, schools that are involved as well. And of course, we've also said, create a monitoring center, which will run 24 hours at the JAMB office. They have it, but they need to strengthen it. It's like having a drone in the digital space, because in the digital space, you now have people that have open shops online that they will say, Mr. Fatai, if your child register with us, we have a tutorial hall where we can teach him to score 398 over 400. So we want a situation where we continue to monitor this digital space so that all these guys that have open shops, through the security agencies, in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor, we can put this down so that parents will not fall victims, candidates will not fall victims, and we can now go after them to make sure that we prosecute them, and that when they are prosecuted in accordance with the Cybercrime Act, all the tools that they use in perpetrating this, because prior to this time, when you arrest them, you take them to court, because it's a long process to get conviction. They will take all those tools, their computers, to go and open another CBT centers. We've now said, security agents, when you investigate, apply the Cybercrime Act to the letter, confiscate all the equipment they are using so that they will be deprived of these tools. And that is, those are the major highlights. And of course, for JAMB to also engage in serious conversation, serious sensitization, so that those ones that appear to be like innocent victims would know that JAMB has put enough in order to sensitize them so that they won't fall victims some other times.
Mr. Osheni, before I go to Mr. Chalks, I want to ask you, you are a retired police commissioner. How soon do you think Nigerians will get the news that some of these perpetrators have been arrested? You know, how soon, in your own estimation, should we get the news that some of these folks have been arrested? Mr. Osheni?
We've arrested quite a number. Some of the cases are in court. It's not just the police. JAMB has put up a strong system. I told you I've been involved in this since 2019, before I'm put in this committee. So we have a lot of arrests. We have a lot of pending cases in court. And the JAMB, through the media office, have always put this out. So it's not as if we've not arrested. Like in 2019 or 2020, we arrested like about 200 offenders, and it was easy for us because they confessed, I've been paid by this, I've been paid by that. And we got convictions, like a situation where a father has gone to write exam for his daughter. The case went to court, it took 2 years, and JAMB got conviction. So, and part of what we are also saying is that in order to fast track the prosecution, it would be necessary that JAMB applies to have designated courts, just like they do for EFCC, so that the process of prosecution will be faster than what it is now.
Excellent. It's good to know that arrest and prosecution has been going on, and we are hoping that in this particular instance also we can do some name and shaming and put faces to some of these perpetrators of criminal conduct in our midst. It's very important.
I know you want to.
Yeah, please go ahead.
That's one of the major recommendations.
There's a mind-boggling revelation. There's a school in this country that issued fake certificates.
No. Don't worry.
Fake certificate.
As in,
they gave certificate to people that they don't even know this their school.
Like, when you say the school, are you talking about? Do they give certificate for WAHEC, NECO?
No, they gave a degree certificate. College of Education. Yes, to people. They sold it to them. I mean, there are things we just. I struggle not to say.
I see your restraint, but there has to be a name and shaming, Mr. Epele. don't you think? At some point, by the right authorities.
I know.
Not you.
Don't forget that we have only submitted a report.
Yeah.
Although they have received the report, there's another layer of accepting the recommendation and then agreeing to implement it. Yeah. We don't want to jump the gun.
That's true.
Yeah. Right. But we will keep putting out information that we know would be a deterrent to those people that are trying to say they will go back and do the same thing. They say, they will advertise. Your child will go from 300 failure to success. They don't tutor them anything. They have
it's just orchestrated.
No. They have people that they hire that will write the exams for these children.
And they find their way into the exam.
That's what they call Miracle Center, which is a ridiculous center.
Hi. Okay, we're going to come back to you, Mr. Epele. I think Mr. Okpaka is available now. Mr. Okpaka is the former Microsoft Cloud leader in Africa and is a notable expert in technology. You are welcome to Inside Sources, Mr. Okpaka.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
So you worked in the area of technology, and while I want to get your take, I wanted to ask you that how was it possible for those CBC centers and all of those infractions that were done in using technology? How was it possible for it to go on for that long without it being detected? Why did it take so long to be detected? Maybe you can educate us on that, Mr. Okpaka.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe let me just give a little background, because when the committee was set up, there were different subcommittees. And the subcommittee I worked with directly is the one chaired by Professor Yahuze, who is here. And our terms of reference was to look into the current examination processes in terms of the existing registration guidelines that JAMB is using today, to review those processes. And for us, I think the essence of that review was to see how it benchmarked against leading CBT centers or leading organizations that conduct examinations just like JAMB all over the world. And in Africa, given the scale of what JAMB is into, with over 800 CBT centers, each of the CBT centers having over 250 candidates sitting for exam at every point in time. So there was no country in Africa where we could benchmark in terms of technology what JAMB has put in place. Then we went into UK, went into America, went into to review what institutions such as UCAS in the UK, College Board in America, and even Cambridge International, how they conduct their CBT exams. And we reviewed and benchmarked that against what JAMB has put in place. So I will tell you categorically that JAMB, from a technology point of view, seems to be ahead of all of them. So in every application that you develop, there are security measures that you put in place, how the candidate gain access to the system. Generally, there's what we call these days multi-factor authentication, meaning that you want to use multiple approaches to identify who a candidate is. Okay, so aside the password that you give them to gain access to the system, they need to have also maybe a fingerprint, biometric capture of their fingers. And for JAMB, they captured the entire 10 fingers, okay, which is where when we talk about the finger blending. But during that capture, when the system requests for fingers, okay, any finger you present is not associated to the candidate's name or registration number. So, meaning that a JAMB candidate by himself cannot go out of his way to conduct finger blending. It must be done in connivance with either the registration center or the CBT center. So this is why you know that it's not just one person thinking I'm going to bring a professional exam writer to come and sit the exam for me. No, it's actually detailed discussion with the parents, with CBT centers, how it's going to happen. They start from registration where they capture different fingers so that on the examination dates, any of those fingers can actually gain access on behalf of the candidate and sit for that exam. So JAMB already has implemented multi-factor authentication, okay? And I believe what we are fighting against today is the fact that no matter how cutting edge, top-notch the technology you have put in place, if the human element is weak, if the human element is compromised, they can always rig the system. So back to your question, how could this have been happening? You heard the CP talk about the fact that there has been cases of infractions, but this year's on the scale at which it happened is actually what was very staggering and everybody got astonished. And we looked at and asked the JAMB team, okay, this is the AI system you have put in place today to identify these gaps. Are you identifying it at the point of registration? Is it at the point of examination process itself? Because these are two different stages. So you register first, and then you go and sit into the exam. So these are some of the things we have actually discussed and recommended so that they know at what point they can analyze the system to know where fingers have been blended or where images have been morphed, where there are infractions already, so that they can capture it.
And somebody has asked me in one of the media outings and said, what is JAMB system like? You know, how come they are not able to detect these things?
Right.
JAMB does. The moment there's an issue, they have the system that tracks this issue. But the ingenuity, the negative ingenuity of some of these CBT centers, they've devised a means. Some of them will take toilet roll paper and block the camera. So you won't even see what is going on there. Oh, JAMB calls them, oh, sorry, we have network failure. But they block the camera.
Wow.
So it's a systemic, well-orchestrated, organized crime.
Interesting.
That is putting so much money in the hand of these young men. So that's why you see a student who is at 400 level. Every year he's coming to take JAMB.
Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to come back.
So he's making money
in the process. Mr. Kwaka, you can finish your thoughts. Please finish your thoughts.
Yes. So I think from the CBT center issue, I talked about the authentication, but CBT center this is where we see the failure in the system. But of course, JAMB cannot do without the CBT center, cannot do without those research centers. This is the approach through which they democratize access to education. So even from IP assignment, every CBT center has static IP address given to them. So it's not just random identification. So from that point of view also, JAMB has taken so much, put in place so much approach to ensure that there are limited or no issues at all. But I think because the CB centers or the registration centers are compromised, that the technology now looks as though it is not working. So I think it's the human element that's actually causing the issue for us. And for me, I like the fact that Jake has taken this, the chairman has taken this head on to see how the entire Nigerians are informed about the level of infraction that is happening all over the country. We are just reviewing JAMB at the moment, but it's not just about JAMB. I believe that every other organization that is in Nigeria is involved. Every other institution, university system, every tertiary organization, even secondary schools, they are all involved. I believe what we are doing here is to see how, like he has said, can we declare state of emergency against these infractions? Because it's at every level. We need to stop this. Otherwise, the certificates we issue in Nigeria will just be, rubbish. So if we want to really enhance the credibility of our educational system, we need to stop this. We need to nip that.
Yeah.
This is why I see Jake all over the news channel talking about this. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. If I may come in, I want to raise a related issue. The other examination bodies, WAEC and NECO, are planning to also go to CBT, to do the examination in CBT. JAMB over the years has invested a lot and has been improving on its system. The NECO and WAEC are going to start it fresh. and the examinations are going to last longer. JAMB exam for every candidate is only 2 hours or so for the candidate. The NECO or EC lasts for, weeks for every candidate. And the examination, every secondary school is going to be an examination center. If care is not taken, what we have seen in JAMB would be a child's play, because our EC and NECO may not have the facilities JAMB has. So the best thing is that they need to leverage on what JAMB has done, learn from what JAMB has learned over the last 20 years or so. As I said, JAMB has been improving greatly. The other examination centers that are going to do CBT, I believe they better leverage with JAMB to avoid the problem that JAMB has faced through many candidates. And the UTME examination is only, for ranking. After 1 year, the examination is no longer valid. But for WAEC and NECO, they are valid for life. So people have more incentive to do whatever they can to perpetuate this. And even now, there are many insinuations that many private schools, in order to enhance their image, they assist their candidates in illegal ways, so that they can come and boast that they have so many candidates with 9 credits, we have this. And so care has to be taken to ensure that the abuses we have seen in JAMB do not translate into WAEC and NECO examinations when they start doing CBT.
Very important point that you made there, Prof. And, I was just, going to say that we do have, a minister of education who seems to know what he's doing, reform-minded, and who has actually said that, we need to do this computer-based testing, as a means of reducing the malpractice. But here we are, that, we see that even some of our people, they have managed to even on a very large scale, corrupt that computer-based testing, which is still, it doesn't mean that, the computer-based testing is not useful. It just means that we have to really tighten. We have to tighten against the human element.
As a matter of fact, this afternoon, I dispatched a letter to the Minister for Education. I haven't met him in person, but I tend to like what he's doing.
Yeah, clearly,
there's a need. Yes, there's a need for him to meet with all of us, so that we can tell him more of the things we can't tell you on television.
Right.
Right. There's a need for him to compel the likes of NECO and WAEC to come clean. There's an admittance from them that they had system failure. Why that system failure? What is it that we can do that will guarantee we won't have such systemic failure in the future?
Right.
The way we are going, our certificate, like one of my members said, will become a toilet tissue. I'm telling you, because it's everything, they've cast a slur on everything that has to do with, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic, you understand? But it's scary, because the foundation of every nation is education.
Clearly.
And once education cannot be trusted, we are still dealing with the certificate falsification of the nurses. You remember the story?
Yeah.
It's still on. And now here we are. And the world is a global village. Inside sources is watched everywhere in the world, So as we're saying it, the world is listening.
Yeah.
The point is not just about talking about the problem. What is the solution? And in this report, we delved into solution. Hopefully, they will allow Oluyede to implement this solution. If they do, there is also a need to consistently upgrade and consistently bring teams like this to interrogate,
the process.
And sometimes even before they launch out, there's a need to even get internal hackers. Let them try and see if they can break the system. And this stress test of the entire system to ensure that we don't give opportunity for these culprits to get into the system and corrupt the entire good work that the likes of Oluyede are doing.
All right, so we still have, I imagine, all the...
May I come in?
So I'm going to just go around for you to give your last take, 2 minutes each, and then I'll come back and conclude with Mr. Epele. So, Mr. Wosheni, what's your last word?
One of the positive things that we can see, just like the chairman had said, getting the ministry involved. I can say that for now, the Minister of Education at the last JAMB policy meeting had announced that there is now a central examination malpractices unit established in the Ministry of Education, and the permanent secretary is the one coordinating that unit. So in the recommendation that has been sent to the registrar, it's been recommended that this should be strengthened so that the agencies that have been working with JAMB, we've been working together with SSS, the cybercrime unit of the police, ICPC, so that all these agencies will collaborate together with the Ministry of Education, and we will strengthen the Central Examination Malpractices Unit. And since it's based in the office of the minister, they'll be able to capture WAEC and NECO and other examinations that they are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Wosheni. Let's move to Professor Bello. Professor Bello, what are your final thoughts?
Well, my final thought is that this problem brings to light a dysfunction in our social system. If parents, teachers and so on can compromise on the quality of education, it is quite frightening. We need social orientation. We need to assess our value system. We need to know that right is right, even if nobody is doing it. And wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. We need to do the right thing in order to save our country and the future of our children.
Okay, thank you so much. We have made some recommendations, and one of them is in the multi-factor authentication. Seeing the fact that biometrics is somehow not longer enough. So we have recommended maybe something around capturing iris as well as palm reading. These are ways of identifying people more particularly. So those are from a technical point of view what they can put in place. There is also some recommendation we have made around the legal framework. What we have seen today is that when centers are proscribed, there is no seizure of equipment that were used. So we believe that they should go into confiscating equipments, computers that have been found to be used for fraud. That way, CBT centers that have invested millions of naira will not, for the sake of just 500,000 naira, want to put their whole business at risk, knowing that if they are found, their equipment will be confiscated from them.
Thank you so much, the members of the committee, for your contributions, and thank you for your service. I'm going to engage Mr. Epele, in conclusion of that conversation, and then we're going to talk about the future of the country. So just give me your last word on this work, and then we will transit to a conversation on the future of our country.
Two quick take. One, we need to begin to have a discussion on where it's not that it's not good to pay attention to certificates, okay? But let's begin to look at skills. How do we focus attention on skill sets? Can we move from the quest for certificate to certificate? You sabi? Do you know the thing?
Do you know the
thing? Exactly. That's one. Number two, legal reforms. The amendment of JAMB Acts, is required. Do you know that the legal unit in JAMB has a PhD holder in law? but he cannot stand up in court to defend JAMB.
Why?
The JAMB Act does not give impetus to them, so the court will not recognize him. That's why they are spending so much money.
Has he not been called to the bar?
Of course, he's a full-fledged practicing lawyer, but he cannot. Let me just read as we recommended it. Amend JAMB Act and the Examination Malpractice Act to recognize biometrics and digital fraud. It's not even recognized. And provide a legal unit within JAMB. This is one of our recommendations, you know. And then, my brother, every time you have problem in a system, in an organization, we bring in experts like you, to look at the image of that organization. If you have to rebrand, you know, you have to invest in public perception.
True.
JAMB has all this, but we are telling the registrar, and hopefully the Ministry of Education will allow them to engage. There is an advertising agency, not just this ad hoc of 1 hour, JAMB 1 hour on TV. It wouldn't do it. We need to have a strategic, systemic process of engaging public perception experts to create a public perception that is true. About, first of all, we told Oluwede that you're doing injustice to yourself. There's a whole lot of things you're doing that the public don't know.
No, yeah.
So there's a need to invest in image awareness, a serious awareness campaign, and we call it Integrity First. In JAMB, there's a need for JAMB to do what we're doing. Get people to talk about what is your problem? Talk about it. What's the solution? Tell us the solution. You're talking about naming and shaming. They can't name and shame in Buhari. They need to come out on a national television like this and say, this is what this person did, and this is... Let me tell you my last take.
Right.
You find parents who are quick to come on television to say JAMB should be scrapped. There was a guy that was saying, I'm going to sue JAMB. At the end of the day, there was a lacuna in his child's result. And he started begging behind cameras. And I'm saying to Oluwede, go tell him, come to shows like this with him and say, tell the country what you said before and tell them that your child is responsible for the problem that we found out. I mean, that does not say that there are ones that are not true, okay? That there are ones that are probably true,
accurate, right?
But many of them, I can tell you, over 60, 70, 80% are not true.
Yeah, a system where we have parents collaborating and colluding in this thing is so heartbreaking, Mr. Ekpele, so heartbreaking. And that's how I want to conclude this conversation, you know, now specifically with you. You are a eminent Nigerian. You are one of the leaders of civil society in this country. You know, you laid a very important foundation. When you hear stories like this, where do you think we're going, Nigeria?
I am very optimistic we would go through this and come out. That's why...
Because it's a broad problem. It just tells us, just a minute, Mr. Ekpele, that something has happened to our moral values.
Exactly.
Significantly.
Exactly. You see, and this generation is not helping matters, including the Gen Z generation. They're not helping matters. And I want to apologize, especially to these young ones, that we have given them the impression that for you to be a big man, you have to drive SUV, what is called Jeep.
But for you to be successful.
For you to be successful, you have to have millions in the bank that you can't account where did you get it from. You know? And so that impression is in their mind. Me too, I want to drive Jeep like this person. Our politicians are
3 years of graduation.
Our politicians are not helping matters.
Well, yeah, I agree.
They flunked it on our faces about how successful they are and the kind of vehicle that they're driving and the type of houses they live and the kind of convoy So these things goes in the mind of these young ones, giving them the impression that me too can do it. And whichever way I want to do it, I'll do it. There's a concept that this generation has bought into. Fake it to make it. And I want to say,
make it.
Yeah, I want to say that you cannot make it faking it. Period. The day you were born, you cried. Everyone, the whole world rejoiced. You have to live your life that the day you die, you will rejoice. And the whole world will cry. It's called a life of contribution. My brother, you and I, we are at the stage where we are living for legacy. I'm not interested in possession. That's why people like me, I don't have a private car. And I'm not ashamed to say it. Can I afford it? If you take my allowances, I can't. But I have official car that I drive. I don't need anything more than that. You understand? So the values, we need to overhaul our values.
Yeah.
We need to begin to tell the truth, even to our children. You pick up a phone, you are in your house, and you're telling the person calling you, I'm in Lagos. How?
And your words are listening.
Child how to lie. You're teaching that child how to lie. I made a promise to my son. I know that this assignment came. We were going on holiday. This assignment came. I had to go back to him and say, look, I know I made a promise to you. We can't go for that holiday because I have a national assignment. He said, Daddy, yes, I saw you doing the committee. I saw you on TV and all that, you know. So what have I done? That doesn't make me perfect. What have I done? I've instilled honesty.
Yeah.
And the fact that you take responsibility for your promises. Promises makes relationship. It's performance that keeps it.
Interesting. So in trying to reverse from that moral decline or get out of that moral decline, Mr. Epele, in your own view, what are the things that we need to do urgently?
Take all our ethics, genuine ethics, into our curricula. You know, you and I, when we went to school, civic education was very important.
This was a big deal. Very
important. You know, we need to truly, really teach civic education. We need to tell them that the likes of John Momo had to go through a lot before he established Channel. And he's still going through a lot to keep Channel going. We need to let them know that there is no shortcut to success.
To sustainable success?
No shortcut. The only place you will find success before work is in your dictionary. Success is a product of hard work. We need to let the people know that, yes, seeing you and I in our fancy clothes, that we once wore second-hand clothes. I did. I had to wash it in the night, wait for it to dry in the morning for me to wear to go to work.
Wow.
There is no shortcut to success. One day I told my son, I said, I want to wait one day, I will take you and take camera and go and show you where I used to live. You know, sometimes I just let him, Dad, I said, no, you can't have it. Not because I can't afford it, but because I want him to know that he too has to work hard as I have worked hard to afford certain things.
Right.
So moral values that begins with us.
Yeah.
We must be leaders by example. Leadership by example. Say it, integrity is something, I see some people, politicians say integrity, and I laugh. Brother, integrity is say it, do it.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me you're a person of integrity. You said yesterday that this will happen. Today you're changing your mind and say you're a person of integrity. That's not integrity.
I am of the view, Mr. Epele, that a lot of what has happened to us in terms of our moral decline, a lot, not entirely everything, is dependent on our political leaders.
Yep. Political leadership.
You know, and of course, you know, there are other set of leaders in society. We even have to question some of the the sermons that are being preached in our churches
and in our mosque. Yes.
You know, the kind of expectation that is created. You know, I'm a pastor, but I'm yeah, okay.
Let's not even go there.
So, but let me make the point, and then you comment. But I have seen that if we don't call out our political leaders, number one, and then if the non-political leaders don't raise their voices about the decadence, the rough, some of which your committee has shown us on a national scale, we're not going to get out of this situation. Silence by non-political leaders is an empowerment and the perpetuation of the ills that political elites are perpetuating. If they are not called out, if people outside of politics don't call out the people in politics, all of these things that we are talking about is just going to be there.
Yeah. Look, you're a pastor. You know, many times I talk, and I talk frankly, and I speak truth, and I have my facts, so you can't fault me. However, there are times that people have come to me and say, my brother, keep quiet, don't say. I said, and I want to go back, and God, I cannot say it openly, and God will tell me, don't. Proverbs 31, verse 8 and 9 says, don't close your mouth. Speak and protect the poor. When good men keep quiet, evil will continue to thrive. So you say, well, you know, say all that you want to say. I did. In River State Matters, I did. I said all that I want, but nothing changed. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
History will be kind to me that I raised my voice, spoke the truth to power. Whether the power agreed to accept the truth, that's their business, you know. So the point that me and you are trying to make is that those of us that God has given the influence, sir, it is God's grace that you're on TV,
Very true.
that you have a platform. Use it to propagate the truth. It doesn't matter whether you get an award or not. The important thing is that this platform gives you the opportunity that your pulpit can never give you. So we must continue to say it. I sat down with the lady and I said, well, you want me to do this? Are you sure? He said, yes. It's okay. Not one day did he call me. I was not teleguided. And I cannot be teleguided. I cannot be bought.
Really?
Period.
And
and I'm so proud of these individuals that you're seeing here. You know, these are honest Nigerians, patriotic Nigerians, smart experts in their field, and they delivered. So I stand by the report, whether it's accepted or not accepted, every comma, every full stop, every T crossed, I stand by it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jake Epele.
Thank you.
For coming to Inside Sources, and thank you for the great work that you are doing in our country. Thank you for your voice that is forthright and courageous. We do need that kind of voice, you know. And I'd like to thank every member of your committee that is also here. Former Police Commissioner Abdul Fattah Owusheni, former BUK Vice Chancellor and Mathematician Professor Mohammed Yahuza Bello, and of course, Mr. Chucks Okpaka, who was formerly Microsoft Cloud lead in Africa.
I think sometimes let's talk about leadership.
Thank you very much.
We will certainly talk about
Inside Sources.
Talk more about it. And once again, thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you, sir.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. Nigeria will prevail means that Nigeria will not fail, we will succeed, because partly we will push the important issues. Thank you for watching. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.